Okay, so I have the nice camera set up here, mainly so I can actually read these questions. So yeah, let's just get started with some of these. So if those of you who don't know, let me just do a quick summary here. We are doing a Kickstarter to do a feature-length Game Chasers movie. It's a scripted comedy. Think Fanboys, Tommy Boy, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, that sort of thing. Very different from what we usually do, but I think that's what makes it cool, makes it exciting, and makes it different. And we started the Kickstarter a couple of weeks ago, and we're almost at the halfway point, only 2 weeks in, so that's phenomenal. And I made a video on it on this channel a few days ago, and I asked you guys to ask me questions so I can answer them, and that's what we're going to do. So anyway, let's get started. Michael Burns asks, you said in your Kickstarter video that the script was initially 350 pages. I assumed you edited that down. If we said that it was 350 pages, then it was definitely a just misspoke. If we said that, I don't think we did. Maybe you misheard, but if we did say that, it was definitely a misspeaking moment here, because there's no script that it should ever be 350 pages unless you're writing Lord of the Rings. This is going to be an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute movie, and usually that's around 90 to 100 pages or so. So yeah, that's definitely not going to be a 350-page script here. And I'm answering some of the questions in here. Like I said before, I will be answering more in depth. Some of the more trolly questions that people are obviously going to have to ask are things like, why don't you just go out and get investors? Even though that's written clearly on the Kickstarter page of why that's not a thing. A lot of these questions, a lot of the trolley ones especially, they're all answered on the Kickstarter page, yet people want to critique things without actually looking into them and getting all the information first, because, drama and hate, that's more fun than actually being knowledgeable about what you're talking about. But yeah, that's something we'll cover a little bit more, because George Lucas went out and got investors, right? So that means that we should have to go out and get investors, because comparing something to 40 years ago in an industry that's changed so dramatically in the last few decades, especially in the last decade, makes a whole hell of a lot of sense, right? So yeah, I will start covering a lot more of that stuff, probably on the main channel, discussing it with the other guys and such. Will there be UFOs, aliens, shadow people? And then Chase asks this. Yes and no. I mean, it's still within the realm of reality here, but you know us. We've had stuff about aliens and shadow people and ghosts and you name it for as long as we've existed on this channel. We've made references to all that stuff. So this is going to be no different. Would you consider putting it on Laserdisc or Betamax? Now we got to limit our distribution here. Blu-ray and digital download and a very limited VHS. Like, it's, we can't start dividing this up. We can't even do DVDs, because if we did that, and that's another question I'll answer here, because people were asking for a DVD. It's just not possible with us being so low budget and so essentially the small guys, right? Because we're not Sony and Universal Studios. Well, I don't know if they distribute media, but big media companies, they can pour out thousands and thousands of dollars to get the cost per unit at a really small price point. If we take all our physical orders and divide them amongst Blu-rays and DVDs, then that means we're paying twice as much for each one. And it's just, we're already going to be spending tens of thousands of dollars just to get the physical media out on this campaign. So to have to pay more because we're dividing that amongst Blu-rays and DVDs because we're ordering less of each, that's not something that we can do, unfortunately. If we had deeper pockets, yes, but we don't. Hence the Kickstarter. And you know what? I'm going to address this right here, right now. For those of you, or for those, not most of you, but there are people that seem to think that it's wrong to crowdsource something. Even though I feel like we went about it the right way, the best way possible, the most fair way to you guys, we are more than likely either going to break even or lose money on this, simply because we're not going to resell it to you. So if you donate to the Kickstarter, if you get the digital download or the Blu-ray, You got the movie at that point. We're pre-selling this thing to you guys. We're not saying, hey, give us money up front. We'll go make the movie. And then, oh, by the way, guys, the movie's done. Now buy it again. Now buy it so you can watch it or stream it or whatever. You know, most people do that. Or a lot of people do that. We don't want to do that to you guys. 100,000 subscribers, everyone needs to give at least $1. Well, I mean, yeah, that would definitely get us the goal. But then if you only donated $1, you wouldn't be getting the movie. So you got to do at least 15 to get the digital download on that one. Since you're using a Red camera, is there a chance that you could offer 4K Ultra Blu-rays? That's always a possibility down the road. Obviously, this thing's going to be shot, and then I'm going to be editing it in 4K. Maybe even bigger than that, because it's got to go project. It's possible, but we just can't do that right now because the cost is so high, and to get just regular Blu-rays made is expensive, and we need every dollar that we can get on this thing just to make the movie, and the least amount of money that we can spend on the physical media is better. Sure, I could up the price point for Blu-ray, but I mean, it's already $54, right? I mean, $50, I forget what it is. But if I up that to $60 or $70 to cover the extra cost of manufacturing a 4K Blu-ray disc, oh my God, like people are going to look at that and they're not going to want to get it at all. All right, so this is a good question here. Jeremy asks, quick question on the $1 to $2 tier. Will there be a Blu-ray available to purchase on a later date? Now, I'm not sure if he means like if you donate $1 just because you want this thing to get made, but you just don't have the money to get the Blu-ray now, you can always up your pledge before the campaign ends and get that Blu-ray. Now, whether or not there's going to be a Blu-ray down the road after the campaign ends depends on whether the campaign is successful, because obviously if we don't hit the goal, we don't get any of the money and we don't make the movie, so no, there's not going to be a Blu-ray. What type of genre will the movie primarily be in? Oh, I mean, obviously comedy. We're not going to be. I don't think we're convincing enough as thespians to do a drama. Barely enough to do a comedy. But us just acting like fools. I mean, there will be a little bit more in depth. It's just not going to be dick and fart jokes. It's not going to be any dick jokes, honestly. A few fart jokes. But it's going to be it's not going to be your think Under the Bridge Game Chaser episode with a little bit of feeling. Mixed in with a cartoon with a lot of goofiness. It's us, it's us, our tone, everything we've ever done on the channel, pretty much all meshed into one and bigger and grander. Okay, so Darkwing asks, how long is this movie going to be? Will there be a director's cut and bonus features? Right now, the script is around 120 pages. That's a 2-hour movie, essentially. Now, it's not going to be a 2-hour movie. You don't want comedies to be a 2-hour movie. But then again, if it dictates it needs to be that long, it needs to be that long. But there's going to be all the other factors that go into it. I already know there's just scenes that we need to take out of this thing because we're just not going to be able to afford them. Some really cool scenes. some cool scenes that cost a lot. So I've already X'd those things out, put them aside, and I'm like, okay, if for some reason this thing goes over the budget, over the Kickstarter goal, and we can somehow afford to put those things in, we might put those things back in. But right now, it's just not going to happen. And will there be a director's cut? Possibly. I just don't know. Some of these questions are a little too early to answer. It's just a lot of times with director's cuts, things are cut. You don't go into a movie thinking, okay, is there going to be a director's cut? You start to film the movie, you do the best possible story you can, and then during editing, some things just get taken out just because of timing, they just don't make sense, some things like that the editor will take out. And then sometimes the director will come back and be like, you know what, no, I envision something else, right? I see it in a different manner. The thing is, like, I'm directing this thing with Melvor if he's available, but I'm also the editor, so it's like it's already going to be the director's cut. If you get what I'm saying here, Will but the Blu-ray itself will undoubtedly have tons of extra scenes and shots and outtakes and things that just never ended up making it into the movie for sure. I would be super surprised if it didn't. Yeah, in fact, there's no way. Like there's gonna be so many fuck ups in this thing that there's probably gonna be an hour's worth of outtakes on this on the second disc of the Blu-ray. But for terms of scenes and stuff, I'll actually, funny enough, I just now remember there are a few extra things that I figured we could film while we're already out and about doing this thing, to put on the Blu-ray exclusively, specifically for this. There's a particular scene where something happens that our professional model builder, who's worked on Apollo 13 and Fifth Element, is going to build a model of something, and it's not supposed to blow up. It wouldn't make sense in the movie for this thing to blow up. However, he told me that he could rig it with pyrotechnics for relatively cheap and have it blow up. So I'm thinking, okay, it's not supposed to blow up in the movie, but what if we just go ahead and blow it up anyway? That way we can have an alternate take, an alternate scene, because once it's already shot and done its thing, then we don't need it anymore. Sure, blow it up, and then I can have that as like a little extra scene to put on the Blu-ray or something, like an alternate take or whatever, just for shits and giggles, essentially. A few things like that I've thought of and would probably go ahead and do. So will the style be more like the Game Chasers animated videos or more like the Game Chasers? There are elements of both. It's definitely not as goofy as the cartoons. I would say it's more in tone with the main show, but there are elements of the cartoon probably thrown in, just a few goofy, funny moments here and there. But we're not... In the cartoons, we're pretty much portrayed as like the absolute lowest IQ Neanderthal fucks in existence. We're not exactly to that level in the movie, but yeah, because in reality, no one could function as stupid as we are in those cartoons. No one can actually function in real life being that dumb. I thought that until I started reading social media comments. Not from you though, but there's some out there. Punch Nippy says, funny that you say that people think that 90K or 95K is a lot, and he's surprised that that's all we need. No, it's honestly not that much money when it comes to movie making. When we're talking professional movie making, again, I can't stress this enough. This isn't us just going out with a camcorder and shooting a movie. This is a professional movie. I've actually hired a professional cinematographer. I've hired a professional visual effects artist. I've hired a professional model maker who, like I just said, has worked on Apollo 13 and Fifth Element and Avatar. This thing is going to have professional people working on it, and it's going to be in professional standards, professional color grade. It's everything about it is going to be an actual real movie that could potentially be played in theaters and potentially be put on Netflix, because you can't just put anything up. There has to be certain guidelines and standards that you have to meet, and so we're going to meet all those, and so this is going to be an actual real life movie, and it's cheap. I mean, 95K to do something like this is super cheap, but we've always been the type of people who I mean, when we first started doing this, we were putting plastic Walmart bags on lights just to have lights for our green screen. You know, we've always been the people to try to make the most of what little we have. So this is no different. It's going to go by quick, and it's going to be used up quickly. Yeah, I know. And like I just said earlier, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to be taken out of this thing. So we'll just have to go and see. And there are things that we can't predict, and I'll go into that a little bit more in depth, because that's a whole other aspect that you have to consider. like if we set up a shoot and it rains when we don't want it to rain. I mean, there's just so many things that could potentially go wrong that could make things go over budget. But, I mean, we'll work with what we have. And this was bare minimum. And if it goes over and we have more to work with, then great. We'll make a better movie. So Mike asks, what stage is the script in? Rough draft, final draft? It's in the revision stage of the final draft. So we wrote the first draft. I shouldn't say final draft. The first draft, we kind of get the general idea of where we want to go with it. Now we're just tweaking a few things here and there, maybe changing bits and pieces, but the gist of it is essentially set in stone. The story, for the most part, is essentially set in stone. But there are going to be a few tweaks just for various reasons, just because certain characters should probably do certain things differently, and just for budget concerns and something else that I can't really say without spoiling it. But yes, I don't know if a lot of people probably don't know this, but after what happens after this point is once the script is done and finalized and say, this is it, this is the movie. At that point, I go and I hire an assistant director. And the reason you go and you hire assistant first director is not somebody who says action and directs the film. This is essentially the assistant to the director who handles all the minutia and handles all the script breakdown, and essentially says, it's a skill in and of itself. It's not something that I was ever tried to do or good at, or it's not my forte. There are some people that's what they specifically go and try to do in film school. And that's their forte. So like some people's directing, some people's editing, some people's sound, some people's assistant director, and it's a speciality. You take that script and you read it back and forth. You learn it inside and out, and then you take all the different elements and you break it down and you create a schedule to where, okay, on this day, all these scenes should be shot because it makes the most sense, because these characters are here, these characters are here. They break it down to make it the most efficient way of shooting it. So the first day we may be shooting page 84 of the script because this certain character needs to be here, but they're also in another scene, so we need to have them 2 days in a row. They break it down. They use special programs to do that, and they do it efficiently. So we save time and money when shooting this thing, and we don't set up a shoot and then somebody flies in to shoot, and then a week later we need to fly them back in because there's another scene that they're in. No, we just shoot everything that we need to shoot while that person's here, and that's or in whatever location we need to be in. So that's what they do. But I can't do that until the script is finalized. But I'll hire that person. They will break down the script, and then we can get a shooting schedule and start going from there. Will the film locations be in Texas or different parts of the country? Ito. We'll be filming most of it in Texas, but it's not set all in Texas. It's a road trip movie, and it goes to another state. However, it's pretty expensive to take an entire crew, which most people are already here local, and then you got to take them off into another location and shoot for a couple of weeks at a different spot. So we're going to do all we can to shoot in different locations here in Texas locally. However, we're going to employ some really good movie magic to make it look like the location it's supposed to be at. And there are certain scenes that I think will probably require us to go to that certain location just because there's no way to fake it in movie magic. But in that case, it would probably be only like a day or two shooting and not an entire week or two. So you don't have to worry about, all those hotel stays and not as many permits for the different locations and stuff. We just have one or two different locations, and then boom, we're good to go. Are you guys thinking about putting this movie into independent film festivals? Sure, why not? If you're working this hard on something, why not try to get as many eyes on it as possible, right? So will it win any awards at a film festival? Probably not. Will you get William Shatner in the film? Hell no. I think it'd be awesome, but can't afford that. And he's an asshole. All right, so last question here is from Mizzle. He goes, I'm confused about this movie. Is it going to be in theaters? Where will it be released? Okay, so will it be in theaters? Yeah, independent theaters, for sure. Locally here in DFW, which will have and on the Kickstarter, we have a premiere. So you can come to the premiere and see that. As far as other cities, like a theater run, essentially, I mean, it's not going to be in your local theater. And why would it be? Nobody's going to want to see this outside of just our fans. However, it would be awesome if we could get a few theaters here and there in different cities. And I have somebody working on that, someone who said that they could potentially do that for us. But, we're a long way off from that. The first thing we need to do is just get this thing made first and then go from there. But in terms of other releases, obviously we're going to have the Blu-rays and then the digital download if you choose to get that on the Kickstarter. But all this stuff is predicated on whether or not we hit that Kickstarter goal, because we don't get a dime unless we hit that goal. And once we get that goal, we can make this thing and hopefully make it amazing. Because that's what, I mean, come on. We've been around for like 8 years now doing this stuff. So you know us by now. You know that we don't put anything out there that we don't put our whole heart and soul in and do the best effort that we can on everything, whether it be the videos on YouTube for the most part. I mean, sure, there's throwaway videos, but I mean, of the main shows that we do, Game Chasers, Toy Chasers, Chasing the Unknown, even mini documentaries. We put forth our best effort on those things. You may not like them, but it doesn't mean we don't try our best and put forth the best possible us that we can. And the physical media, the DVDs that we put out, the Blu-rays that we put out, we always put that extra touch, that extra stuff in them that we feel is warranted for people who want to spend their hard-earned money on us. And this is no different. I don't make as much money doing this as a lot of other YouTubers, as most of probably when it comes to YouTubers, maybe like I would say upper lower class or middle lower class, I would say, because seems like most people I know who are friends with YouTube are doing way better than me, just because are the nature of what we do. Retro stuff is kind of dying out on YouTube, and not a lot of people search it, and it doesn't do as well on YouTube nowadays. And that's mainly what we all are about is retro toys and games. So. But the thing is, I used to do corporate videos and professional videos for production houses and things like that for a long time before I even started doing YouTube stuff. And sure, I made a little bit more money than I'm doing right now, but this is fun. I love doing this. I love making videos on my own and doing videos on subjects that I enjoy. So I have pride in what I do. I have much pride in what I do, and this movie is like if it sucks, then I'm going to feel like a piece of shit, because this is a reflection of me and what I do in my professional career, essentially. So I have a lot on the line on this thing, a lot on the line. If this thing bombs and it sucks, then that's all on me, and it's going to probably just ruin my entire professional video existence. So trust me, I have a lot on the line in this. I want it to succeed more than you do, probably. And that goes for all the stuff that I do on the channel. And, I can speak for the other guys too. I mean, they feel the same way. So we're going to do our best to make this thing as best as it could possibly be and make an amazing movie. And we're just, happy that you guys, everyone who's donated to this Kickstarter already, and I'm hesitant to say even donated, because most people, you're getting something in return if you've done at least $15, but invested your money into the faith of us coming through for you guys, and we're not gonna let you down. We're gonna do something amazing with this, and we just really, really, really appreciate you having the faith in us and wanting us to do something this awesome. So, thank you everyone who has contributed to this Kickstarter, and for all those who will down the road. Let's get this thing funded and create something awesome. So, thanks for watching.